Shelby Braland, and I'm going to be doing the heparin bolus and heparin infusion. And I do the bolus first. I've done all my calculations for both the bolus and for the IV infusion already. I've checked the 5 rights. I've done that before I pulled it up, right after I was pulling up the meds, and I will do it again right before I administer it to the patient while I'm in the patient's room. And I have checked the MAR against the patient's identifier. I've come into my room, washed my hands, explained what I'm going to be doing for the patient, checked the wristband, and then 2 patient identifiers, such as asking the patient to state their name and their birth date, and made sure that they matched the MAR. And now I'm going to be giving the heparin bolus. They wanted us to use the 5,000 unit per mil heparin. And so I've done all those calculations, and this patient is 16 years old and they weigh 110 pounds. This heparin is supposed to be given as a loading dose, this bolus, 75 units per kilogram. So I've done the math. The patient weighs 50 kilograms. So 50 kilograms times 75 units equals 3,750 units. And when I get that all calculated out with the 5,000 units per mil, I've already pulled it up, it's going to be 0.75 mils, which I've already done. And then, and it can be given undiluted. This patient also has a sulfa allergy, just so I state that in here. In order to give this over the minute that it needs to be given over, because you can give over a minute 1,000 units or a fraction thereof over a minute. And so in order to make it not so hard to figure out how to give this to that patient, I'm going to go ahead and I figured out to make it close to 4 so I can give it more evenly. I pulled up 3.4 mils of normal saline, which it's compatible with, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put this, pull back so I have room. Go ahead and put this medication in. This would go in the sharps. I would not recap it. Make sure the air is out. I'm going to go ahead. Now I've done all my 5 rights again right before I did this, and explain to the patient. I'm going to scrub this hub closest up here for this push, 15 seconds, and I'm going to go ahead and not only scrub the sides but also the top of this hub. And it's compatible, so I do not need to use a flush. So I'm going to go ahead, hook this up, and I need to give this over the first part of it over a minute. So the first mil I'm going to do over the first minute, and then it says for the second or for the rest of it, I can give all the rest of it after, because it's a different ratio for how you give it. So I'd give the first mil over the first minute, and then the rest of the tubing I would just do over that second minute. Take that off. The antidote for heparin is protamine sulfate. I've figured out with this patient, if with the infusion and everything that I'm giving, if I had an overdose of this heparin, I am going to want to give 37.5 milligrams of heparin, and it's you're not supposed to give more than 50 milligrams of protamine. Sorry, not heparin. For heparin, the protamine, I'm going to want to give 37.5 milligrams, and you're not supposed to give over 50, so I'm right in that safe range, so I'm good. And I would have that available just in case I needed it, and I would have already done that calculation so I knew what to give in an emergency. It said that each milligram of the protamine neutralizes 100 units of the heparin, and so that's how I figured it out. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the infusion of heparin. The patient already has D5W running. That's compatible with the heparin. And I've got that running on the primary line, or they had that running on the primary line. And I'm not gonna start this up because it's gonna beep like crazy, but I would go ahead, put it in, you know, that was already running, so it would be beeping. I would go ahead and get this tubing primed, and this isn't the right tubing, it should be for a secondary line. But I'm gonna just use it because it's what I have and pretend, but I'm gonna go ahead, and I'm also, for financial sake, I'm gonna use my same thing even though I'd get a clean one. But I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna scrub this hub for 15 seconds, the top and the sides. It's already been primed, so I'm gonna go ahead and hook it up. Okay. I've done all the calculations, all the 5 rights again on this medication. And for the infusion, when I do the math calculations, because the doctor wanted it to be 20 units per kilogram per hour, I'm going to end up giving this patient 20 milliliters per hour of this heparin. And so then I would go ahead and set that up piggyback. It could run concurrent or piggyback, but I was going to do it piggyback. And this D5 would be running at the 450 mils in the pump. This one I would put the whole 500 mils in with the 20 mils per hour because it's going to be running first, and then after that's done, then this one will kick in. So I'll go ahead and start that and make sure that my patient was all fine, and that's what I would do.